Hi, I'm Doug Hocking. I do research on the mid-19th century and write about that era in both history and fiction. It's the era of the cap and ball weapon, weapons like this big Walker Colt. This thing weighed over 5 pounds, and theoretically with a full load of powder the same as a rifle would carry out to 100 yards. What are we talking about with cap? Cap and ball. The cap is this little tiny thing with a little bit of fulminate of mercury in it so it'll explode. It replaced the flint and steel and a frizzen pan full of black powder for firing a weapon. It went along with the ball, a round ball, and what one did with a cap and ball weapon was essentially build a bullet inside the weapon. And we're going to go ahead and load the Walker today and show you how that worked. To load this, we bring it to half cock. That allows the cylinder to turn. Now once the cylinder's turning, we're going to take a measure of powder. This spout is the actual measure. This will measure out 24 grains of powder. I open the throat with this little lever, turn it upside down, let go, and now I have a measure of powder. I've got to keep track of which cylinders I fill. We've got to repeat this operation 6 times. We don't want to put a ball in here with no powder. They're very, very difficult to get out. I had that happen when I would let a friend load the pistol. It's very easy to forget when you're releasing the lever. Okay, and that should be 6 charges of powder. Once we've got the powder in here, we're going to place a ball on the front of the cylinder and bring this lever down to push the ball into the cylinder. And again, we have to repeat this for all of the cylinders. These are .44 caliber, and because the Walker was made to carry originally such a large charge of powder, it was until World War II the most powerful handgun in the world. Okay, now once we've got bullets in here, we could go ahead and put the caps on and fire the weapon. That's not really safe. But what we're going to do is put a little grease on the front of the cylinder to prevent chain fires. What a chain fire is when the powder in the cylinder next door ignites. And it's actually possible to ignite all the cylinders at once. And of course that's very embarrassing and not much fun. Okay, so we have greased the fronts of the cylinders. Just about any kind of grease will do. And now we're going to cap the cylinders. These caps need to be squeezed down tight a little bit so that they will stay on the nipple. You see the nipple there? If it's entirely possible to shake the caps off when you fire the weapon, if they're not real tight. Of course, if they get too tight, then they don't want to come off after you fire. And you have to get out your knife and take the extra time to pick them off, which isn't much fun either. You can see I just dropped a cap. I don't know if you saw that. You can see how easy that is to do, and can imagine this part of the operation is a real pain, especially if you're under fire. And battlefield archaeologists actually follow the course of battles where they find dropped caps. The dropped cap, the cap that hasn't been fired, is nice and round, as you see these ones here. One that has been fired opens up like a tiny flower, so you can actually tell the two apart. And if you find lots of dropped caps and no fired ones, you can tell that you had a very nervous force that wasn't returning fire. If you find dropped caps and expended caps, you know that you're looking at a place where they stood and fought for a while. This, by the way, that's a fired cap. Can you see that all right? Okay. So you can see that's a little different than a cap that hasn't been fired. Okay. Go ahead and shut her down.
Okay. At the beginning, again,